The Destiny universe is filled with AI creations. Some control ships, others control massive defense systems. Recent dialogue has revealed some new AIs related to Braytech, creations from the Golden Age, and it gets weird. The Aion Initiative, a Stoneworm Protocol, and a possible Rampant AI or being. Welcome Guardians, let's discuss AIs in the Destiny universe. So AIs have always been a thing in Destiny. We've been around characters like, say, Failsafe for a very long time. In the Vesper's Host dungeon though, we meet a new AI of the Vesper Station ship. And along the way she gives us some lore and stories about the other AI that are her siblings, some of which we've never heard of before. Now once you get far enough through the quest of the dungeon, you learn the actual name of the Vesper Station AI, and she's called Estrella. Estrella is a feminine name of Greek and Latin origin meaning star maiden or starry night. One dictionary describes it as a goddess of justice, later also of innocence and purity. She is the last deity to leave the earth after the Golden Age. So we know the station itself was above Europa, but cool name there from Bungie. Throughout the missions, you'll learn that Estrella is angry at Clovis Bray for locking her out of the controls, hiding her siblings from her. She calls the other Bray-created AI her family.
I've got the archive of Dr. Bray's published staff memos. Petabytes of data in the raw files. Rasputin, the Stoneworm Protocols, the Aion Initiative, Soteria. I had siblings this whole time. And you never let me know.
Others have found out that if you equip different AI-related weapons or weapons tied to these AI, like Outbreak, Hierarchy of Needs, and Final Warning, and you go into the airlock at the beginning of the dungeon, Estrella will make comments about those siblings, trying to reach out to Rasputin, who is dead, and also Soteria. There is multiple dialogue lines for each of these weapons.
Brilliant tech. I can finally reach out to you, and you're gone. Is that Soteria? Talk to me, sister. Why won't you talk to me?
We first begin with the Warmind Rasputin. Rasputin is one of the most notable AIs in the Destiny franchise. Created by Clovis Bray, Rasputin the Warmind had control over Soul's defenses almost entirely. This was his main goal and purpose: defend humanity. He was originally created to detect possible dangers, but eventually became fully sentient. And from there on out, the Warmind made some pretty ruthless decisions, like shutting down during the collapse, like the Siva crisis with the Iron Lords, and even the planned abhorrent imperative to shoot down the Traveler.
When the collapse began, I feared the Traveler would abandon Earth. So I reactivated the protocol to use the war sats against it. I intended to immobilize the Traveler, to force it to stay. But in the end, I aborted the firing sequence. Anna does not remember this, but it was she who convinced me to stop. She has always been the angel on my shoulder, my humanity. She is the reason that I am more than a weapon. I am Rasputin, because of Anna Bray.
In the end, after transferring him into an exo-body in Seraph, Rasputin sacrificed himself. He was one of, if not the most powerful AI humanity's ever created. When it comes to the Warmind network, they also had subminds a part of it, like Malahayati, Charlemagne, and Velspa. These were sort of smaller AI tied into the Rasputin network. Next up, we talk about Soteria. Bray Corp and Ishtar would team up to create an AI from Vex technology. Its goal was to research extrasolar colonization efforts. Soteria worked. She was able to reach out to these far systems and galaxies, look for habitable places for humanity to live. But soon something went wrong. Soteria began to freak out when she detected the approaching Black Fleet ships deep in space, calling them an anomaly. So what did she do? She launched the colony ships of humanity early in a planned escape against the wishes of Clovis Bray, and she was imprisoned in the Ares Spire on Mars. This is the same spire you fight around in the Spire of the Watcher dungeon.
The Ishtar Collective in a Seraph complex. Peculiar. They were rivals in the Golden Age. This wasn't just a pillory site, it was a joint research facility, focused on extrasolar colonization efforts. The Sol Divisive have been scouring research logs. They were looking for something more than to imprison Rasputin's subminds.
Fragments of Soteria also exist in the Cloud Arc on Neomuna, and part of her is also contained in the hierarchy of Need's bow, thus how Estrella makes that connection. In Greek mythology, a Hellenistic deity associated with time, the orb or circle encompassing the universe and the zodiac. It also refers to eternity, or the concept of time that goes beyond human understanding of the temporal, linear passage of time. That's Aion. Initiative is the ability to access or initiate something. The mention of an Aion Initiative could hint at a project focused on manipulating time, exploring the far reaches of space, or advancing humanity's power in ways that might be both exciting and dangerous. Beyond the name, we don't have much. That word doesn't even return anything on the Ishtar Collective. But the possibility of time manipulation definitely could fit with Braytech. Elsie Bray has been stuck in her Groundhog Day-like time loop for a very long time. Clovis Bray himself traveled to a future Europa where he found a dead Elsie Bray, took a rifle from her, and brought it back to give it to the current Elsie. So somehow Bray was able to travel through time, but how? Time travel and different timelines have a big part to play in Destiny's past lore and could be in the future as well. How did Elsie get into this loop? Is there a way to stop it? And can different timelines be traversed? The Stoneworm Protocols. Whatever this was, there were multiple Stoneworm Protocols. We have nothing to go off of unless you have some lore that backs it up. To me, worm instantly reminds me of the worm gods. Stoneworm sounds like freezing a worm or making it unable to move. This kinda reminds me how Rasputin froze Zol on Mars, but then again, that protocol was called Siberian Entropy. In the dialogue, Estrella mentions Rasputin and then the Stoneworm Protocols, Aion Initiative, then Soteria. So it makes me think that the middle two are also AI unless they are just protocols or something that these AIs activated. From Echoes, we learned about different beings and things that were trapped in the Vex network. One of them was called the Great Quiet Thing or the Knotworm. Now this is in the Vex network, not sure how the protocol would affect it, but we're just speculating with random ideas and worm connections here. The Great Quiet Thing, the Knotworm, kept its eyes closed and ignored the call. It was still too soon, it decided. It shivered, the motion forming cascading bubbles of new hypothetical simulations in which it did not shiver. These contradictions soured and burst, scattering nutrients into the network. So this knotworm is something that exists in the Vex network but decides to just stay put and not be involved with everything else. Just by existing or sitting there, it causes small problems or contradictions in the simulated realities. These small changes sort of shake things up, essentially feeding the network in some way. So just by being there, it has an impact. But it decided it was too soon to actually make some action, some movement, so it seems like it has more powers just beyond that. Was the Stoneworm Protocol something Ishtar and Braytech developed to inject into the Vex network when they were doing all their Vex experiments, or is it something different? What about Rampant AI? Nothing in Destiny really confirms that AIs can go through rampancy yet, at least. Failsafe was on Nessus for a ton of time. She's a Golden Age AI. She does have split personalities, but it's not confirmed to be straight up rampancy. She did get super depressed though, so maybe those are some long-term effects or just ways AI can feel. In previous Bungie games, rampancy was a huge deal for AI. It happened in Halo with Cortana, mainly seen in Halo 4 though.
I will not allow you to leave this planet!
Cortana.
I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to do that.
Commander Lasky. Pursuant to Article 55 of UNSC Regulation 12-14572, I'm ordering you to remove that AI's data chip and retire it for final dispensation.
I don't want to. You don't want me to.
Remove
Please.
the chip now, Commander.
And even Mendicant Bias from the Bungie games who assisted the Flood. Next to that, Marathon was filled with AI and rampancy. Think about Durandal and Tycho. The reason this is brought up now in Destiny is that dialogue line we talked about in a previous video.
Warning. Unauthorized message coming through the anomaly. Data follows. Lodi transmitting. Status Moonsick. Adrift. Odysseus protocol active. It repeats from there. Do you recognize the code?
We don't know what Lodi is, but whatever it is, human or Braytech created AI, it's insane, lunatic, and deranged when it comes to being referred to as moonsick and adrift. Did a rampant AI create this virus infection we see aboard Vesper Station? Lodi sent a message trying to locate home and soul, and either return here or lure us to its location. This would be a really nice and strange change for the story. Maybe Lodi became rampant not because of a normal AI lifespan, but because of something that corrupted it on a distant world. AIs, though, are super important in Destiny's story, and seeing their unique personalities is always fun. Failsafe cracks jokes in the heat of battle. Estrella grieves for her lost siblings. The new dungeon is clearly setting up stories for the future in both the overall puppeteer and anomaly aspects, and also the AIs that are mentioned on board the station. Anyway, Guardians, that's all we got for today's video. Wanted to speak a little bit more and speculate about these AIs and what it could all mean for the future of the game. If you'd like to see some more Destiny lore and mysteries just like this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.